Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined as always by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we've got Monday night NBA playoff action here for you guys. A couple games on the slate for us to choose from in this best bets video that we are bringing you. We also have a player props video up for you, so make sure to check that out, like and subscribe to that page, and continue to follow along with us all playoffs long. Also want you to head to thelines.com. You can check out all of the great written content we are putting up on the site right now. Nate and I throwing up all of these player props and best bets up there. Also want you to head to, also want you to use that odds finder tool we have up there for you guys. Make sure you're getting the best juice available back on all these bets you are making in the NBA this postseason. Just running through a quick couple things that we went through over the weekend. We mostly just took some series stuff that we're looking at. So we still have the Warriors to win this series is what we're looking at there. I think we both still are on Miami to win this series as well, but we'll talk about some of this game 4 stuff obviously as well in these best bets videos. So the Dubs price on the series and the Heat price on the series, actually probably the Dubs price is better than when we took it last as well. So might as well hit it a little bit again if we're still feeling confident about it, as I know I am. But either way, let's move into your first best bet of the night for Monday night, Nate.
Yeah, I don't know. I maybe lost a little bit of confidence after the Warriors traded a blowout loss, but what I do have confidence in is Steph Curry bouncing back and coming to play. I mean, he still had a high usage rate in that blowout loss. And so what I'm taking is Steph to be the top scorer in this game. It's plus 110 at DK, even money at FanDuel. I mean, there's just not a lot of competition. I feel like, honestly, the competition is from his teammate, Klay Thompson, who was able to eclipse him in game 1 when he had 27, game 2, me. When Steph deferred and he had 12 assists and only took 12 shots, and Klay had 30, is just a Klay game. I mean, what we've seen from Anthony Davis is that after a big game, he has to chill. Granted, he had a pretty low usage rate in game 3 because they won by a lot. Only 10 field goals, 10 of 11 of 12 at the line, but I just don't trust him to put together 230, 225 plus games in a row. And I trust Steph to score over 30. I mean, that's what his prop is at. And then the fact that LeBron is your second shortest odds to be the top point scorer is just a complete misnomer. Like we'll talk about that in player props all the time. Like LeBron is not scoring he hasn't scored over 23 in this entire series. Like he hasn't scored over 30 in the playoffs since 2020, I think. So, I mean, Steph to get 30 seems like very likely. That's what he did in his last 3 regular season against the Lakers, averaged 30 on a 33% usage rate. He was not the leading scorer in 2 of those 3 games, actually, because AD went off, because Bron went off, but that was 2 years ago. But you look at what Steph does after a loss in the playoffs, and that's really the situation I'm targeting here. Obviously, the last time was a record 50 points in Game 7 against Sacramento. He also had 36 in Game 3 without Draymond. He had 28 because he had a bit of a poor shooting night in Game 2. And then in the finals last year, he had that historic 43-point outburst to take control of that series. He also had 29 in Game 2, which was the leading scorer in a very low-scoring game. I mean, it's tough to predict the over-under here, but what I do know is that Steph is going to try to put the team on his back, because it was just like a really, really disastrous second quarter for the Warriors that let this game get out of hand, right? The last one, where there was just everybody but Steph was getting kind of closed off on, and I mean, he was contributing to the turnovers, and he back-rimmed a few threes, and then it just all got out of hand. But I don't think that that's going to happen twice in a row for the greatest shooter ever, who's also a better road player than home in the playoffs, at least much more aggressive. Like this year, his usage rate goes up 4% on the road. He averages 32.5 on the road versus 29-ish at home. And that's despite shooting 34% from 3 on the road versus 47% at home. He's taking more threes, though. Higher usage. Again, just trying to carry the Warriors when things aren't necessarily happening. He will make them happen. So that's why I'm just banking on Steph tonight, win or lose, to be the leading scorer in this game.
Yeah, I'm with it. I tried it. I actually tried that bet in the one game that Klay did outscore him. And I do agree that he's the best bet to do that. I mean, I honestly, at least on his team, but I would say AD still is, is still the biggest threat there for him in the game in general for that that specific stat. I the LeBron points, like I'm going under. So yeah, I'll take that. And really like this series in general, it's fluctuation, it's variance, it's 3-point shooting on one side, free throw attempts on the other side. And then really the biggest takeaway for me with that information is there's not really going to be that many close games. One team is going to have it, one team isn't. And maybe this is just a back and forth series where by the end of it, they're a little bit more tired and it's a little bit closer, but I'm still feeling pretty good that these things are like, if Steph is going to be scoring, let's say he gets the 35 tonight, like I can't see the Warriors losing in that situation, but I agree that he's going to be shooting them out of this one. He's just going to be shooting lights out as much as he can. I mean, when I say lights out, just often. He's going to be looking to win this game by scoring. And Clay will get involved, and he'll have obviously roughly, let's say, 6 minutes throughout the game where he's the number one option for the Dubs with Steph on the bench. In which case, then that would be a small threat, because when Steph's out there, he's the number one option. I think he's going to be putting up 13, 14 3-point attempts tonight to make sure that they win this game in the fashion that he has in multiple game fours, which you mentioned as well, including that incredible game 4 against the Celtics in the finals last year. So that he's a good bet for all that stuff. And if he is scoring 30, look, they can still lose if other guys are not hitting, but I'm feeling pretty confident about that as well. I'm going to make my first pick here and say that, there's a few ways I'm looking at playing the Dubs to win this one. First of all, I think I just prefer the alt line for the Dubs at -5. If you're going to take a money line for them at this point, like I don't see very, very many games going being super close affairs at this point between these two. Like in the playoffs at this point, they have 5 wins. 4 of those wins came by at least 7 points, and 3 of them by double digits. The one win they won by 1 point against the Kings there by 1 at home was one that they really needed at a time where they couldn't play a lick of defense, but that was a 3-point shooting barrage from the Kings, which is what the Lakers brought to them in Game 3 was a 3-point barrage, and that's the kind of regression that I'm kind of looking for in this one for them. If you look at the way that the Dubs defended them, there wasn't much Looney, and that's a big talking point in this game. But more important than that was D'Angelo Russell hit 4 threes or 5 threes, whatever, 4 in the first half, what have you. So that 15 threes for the Lakers is like 4 above what they averaged on the season. I'm not going to continue to believe in them to do that, especially without Malik Beasley hitting the floor at all in this series. And then the free throw attempts, obviously. Now, if this game goes back to Golden State, in this series, there's been 23 free throw attempts for the Lakers in Golden State. They got 37 in the last one there against Golden State. So are they going to get anywhere close to that? I don't know. I know that Looney does need to be on the floor. When he's on the floor for the Dubs, they're giving up about 12 and a half free throw attempts in the playoffs to their opponent. When he's off the floor, that number jumps all the way up to like 21, 22 or whatever. So like there's a correlation between him being the biggest body on the floor for them. But either way, I'm still also looking at a Wiggins game, and I'll talk about that more in player props. But there is a pretty spicy parlay that I would add if you believe in the Dubs to win this game. That is up at plus 950 on DraftKings for the Dubs to win this thing. Steph to score 30. Those are super correlated. I'm going with Wiggins rebounds in this game. You can take it at 7 to get that plus 950. If you want to dumb that down for him to just need 5, you still get this at plus 650. So I'm still fine with 6.5 to 1 as well. And then I'm going LeBron under, and that's also super correlated to this pick in terms of the Dubs winning. But under 28 points, under 27.5, however you want to phrase it. He just doesn't really do that anymore. He's gotten 28 once in these playoffs. I know at some point you'll be talking about, and I will too, fading LeBron points as well, mostly because of the fact that he hasn't done this in the playoffs in years. He has a much better supporting cast around him, as we've continued to talk about, which is why I also like taking under points and assists. He can't do both at this point, so I feel good about that. But in this bet, I like under 28.5 to just get us to almost 10 to 1 on our money for all things that are correlated. Like, this is game theory working it has to work from the start to finish, in the sense that I'm thinking Steph's going to score. I'm thinking Wiggs is going to get boards that are going to come off of LeBron's misses, and that the Dubs are going to win this game. Obviously, if one of those things goes wrong at the beginning of the math equation, the correlations here aren't quite as tight knit as I'd like them to be. But I believe that this is how this game is going to go. So it's going to come down to the free throw attempts in a big way. But I know that, Curran and company are looking at that. And I think what they're going to look to do is the same thing they did in game 2, which is tell the Lakers from the jump, like, you're going to have to score 118 to beat us in this game, 120 if you want to beat us in this game, because we're coming out firing and we're going to keep that pace up and trade threes for twos with you at this point, which is the best that they can hope for if they're unable to stop the Lakers down low like they have been.
And that's how they're able to win game 2 so decisively, is just, keeping the pace up, wearing down the older team with some good adjustments that Kerr made. I expect him to adjust. It's certainly correlated to say Wiggs will get more rebounds and LeBron will score less if Wiggs, stays out of foul trouble and is effective guarding him. The 7 rebounds for me is a bit of a potential outlier in some ways. Like he could get only 5. I would personally tease that down and take the lesser odds because it's rebounds again. And if he's the primary defender, how often is he going to get the rebound on a specific LeBron miss? He is a great rebounder and he's working back into form. So I don't hate that part of it. I just think that's the part you could get bit by. Yeah. And I would play that a little safer.
Yeah, and the reason I'm getting the juice on it and taking it is because I'm kind of getting ahead of what I believe will be the Wiggins that we saw in the playoffs last season, kind of coming back a bit more as he started to with the 9 boards and 16 points in the last game, despite it not being that close. So I'm kind of getting ahead of that. To your point, it is the riskier of the bets if you're looking at sort of the recent history for Wiggs, but I'm getting ahead of predicting the better future for Wiggs.
Yeah. That said, I'm putting rebounds in this parlay with the Heat to win, Jimmy to score 25, Bam to get 8 boards. And it's not, I guess I feel better about it because Bam is clearly the defensive presence for the Heat. Just came off an incredible defensive effort as a team, and Bam gobbled up 12 rebounds while they held the Knicks to 34% shooting. There were 50 available rebounds in that game. So, of course, he has a great chance of getting double-digit boards if that's the case. He averaged 10 rebounds in wins versus 8.3 in losses this year, which to me indicates more like how well is Miami playing defense, because Bam is going to have to be their guy in that situation. He does have 8+ boards in 6 straight playoff games and 10 of his last 11. So, I mean, it is a consistent thing. He's able to stay out of foul trouble against a team like the Knicks that, with Mitchell Robinson down there, aren't really playing through the post, but he is also absolutely essential for keeping Robinson and Randall off the glass. So I think, that 35, 36 minutes he's playing is absolutely bankable. And I think there will be plenty of boards here again, because Miami's defense, it's not going anywhere. That Knicks offense, I am not impressed with. It's why we talked about taking the Heat in this series. It's just that the Knicks, while they have a few different options, it's not like they really play off each other. Like under 20 assists in this last game, they cannot hit a 3 for their life on the road in these playoffs. They're shooting 27% from deep. And I mean, what do you need to say about Jimmy scoring 25? Like he does that with ease. If they need it, he will score 30. If they need it, he will score 40. Like basically you saw that on Sunday, that he already had his 26. The Knicks made a little bit of a push to get to 14 points, which is almost nothing. But Spo was like, get back in there, Jimmy. And he hits this ridiculous fadeaway and just wags your finger like, nope, you are not coming back and winning this game in my house. He might have tweaked that ankle a little bit, but he's still going to shoot it up and be good to go. And I mean, you just look at how efficient he's been in these 3 home playoff games, 38 points per game, 141 rating. In the last 2, he's gotten 29 free throw attempts, just producing points in a series where points are really hard to come by. So I think 25 is certainly the floor for him. And I do expect Miami to win this game. I don't think I saw anything to indicate otherwise that the Knicks could pull out of this. I think they'll be a little bit more competitive, but I just don't think that they can close this game against a Heat team that is so playoff ready right now.
Yeah, I got to agree. One of the scarier parts about the Knicks losing that last game for Knick Nation is that the Heat shot so poorly from 3. Jimmy they didn't need to, right? They just got out. They got their points from wherever they wanted to, a few fast breaks, definitely plenty of points in the paint there. Bam had 14 on his own. Jimmy had 12 on his own. And the 12 points in the paint should also, probably add the 11 free throws that he shot and the 10 that he made to those points, basically, because that's where he was getting fouled, was around the basket as well. So, there's another 10 points in the paint off of free throws, essentially. And they're just dominating down there. Mitchell Robinson can't stay on the floor. He's been essentially worthless for them. I mean, the fouls are one thing, but really he hasn't been doing his thing against this Heat team. He's been bottled up by Spo's, Spo's basically game plan for winning the rim, if you will, against this Knicks team, knowing how important it is. Just shut him down. He's getting off the floor with personal fouls by the second quarter, et cetera. So that's such a huge part of what the Knicks do. If you're going to continue to get keep him off the floor, get the fast break points, get all of the transition points. Really, those are all going the Heat's way as well. Then Bam to get the rebounds is great. Jimmy 25 in his sleep if it's the playoffs. They will. I think they'll need that a bit more. I know both of us are expecting, at least I am, a little bit of a bounce back game. I know I've made some pretty good money betting on Jalen Brunson one game later after he has a bad game, and going 0 for 5 from deep and 7 for 20 from the field would probably constitute a bad game despite scoring 20 because of his giant usage rate. And so I'm going to just move on to my next bet, which is, in a way similar. I'm just not really trying to pick a winner in this game because I'm definitely not trying to root against the Knicks. I don't want that conflict. But Jalen to score 20 points, Jimmy to get 20 points, Bam to get 8 boards, and Julius to get 8 boards is plus 250 on DK, and it's not that much for a four person parlay, item parlay, if you will. Because of the fact that these things all happen so frequently. All of these things have actually happened every game in the last 10. Bam has failed to get 8 boards twice in the last 10. Julius, the only time he failed to get 8 boards in the last 10 was when he wasn't playing, was when he came out because of benching in the fourth quarter, or a benching because of injury and coming out of the game. So all of those things, like I said, are very, very, very likely to happen, number one. The bounce back game would be another one. The two of them combined for 11 for 35 in game 3 between Julius and Jalen Brunson. I would expect Jalen to have a better game. Julius to score is still, I think he can go at it, but this is not the same type of matchup for him. I think there are a number of bodies that, especially obviously Bam, even Haywood Smith, excuse me, easy for me to say, has had some pretty decent numbers defending him. And it's just, like I said, the ability for Spo to game plan against opposing big men is pretty wild, as he's been able to shut down both these guys for the Knicks that are so important to them winning the battle at the rim. But that just, for the rebounds for him, like that's not necessarily, I'm not worried about that the way I'm worried about the points or needing to worry about who's going to, win this game, basically. I just see it being a much better matchup than the other two. And just a little bit more about Mitch Rob and why Julius will be out there and so crucial to rebounding. In his last 8 versus Miami, Mitchell Robinson, 7 boards a game and 3 personal fouls a game. He's a minus 51 over those 8. And in the playoffs right now, he's a minus 2.6 net individually, which is only worse. The only person with a worse net that actually plays is RJ in these playoffs. Even though he's had a few good games, he's still such a bad net rating. And so, the usage rate's going to be there for Jalen. It's going to be there for Jimmy at 34% on the playoffs right now. And like I said, Bam's been getting 8 boards with ease. The only time he failed to do that was in a game 2 blowout against Milwaukee, where he played 25 minutes because that game was pretty much over in the first or second quarter with Drew Holiday going bananas. So there's so many reasons to just be able to bank on guys getting minutes, guys getting usage, and the guys getting the rebounds for each of these teams as well. Getting their stats in this one to get us to a nice 2.5 to 1 on your money.
I'm going to surprise you. I actually would go less conservative with this and say Jalen's going to get 25 and Jimmy's going to get 25. The rebounds are a little bit more of a variance. I think Randall was actually going to get only 7 or 8, and then he kind of crashed the offensive glass in garbage time in game 3.
In the last game?
Yeah.
No, in the last game he had 8 boards in the first half.
Oh, okay. It was the 10 points, I think.
The points, okay, I'm off. I'm not touching those.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, so it all seems pretty good. I definitely like Jalen to get 25, though, because I agree with what you're saying. Like 0 for 6 from 3, not going to happen again. He's got to be better. He went 6 for 10 in game 2 in that bounce back. I mean, somebody's got to hit a 3 on this team, and I think Jalen is obviously their best 3-point shooter, and I think they'll try to space that out, and he'll take it on himself to stretch the floor a little bit, because right now Miami's just packing the paint, and they're not getting anything down low because there's no reason to respect them on the perimeter.
Yeah. How wild is that? Jalen Brunson is their best 3-point shooter. Like this Knicks team, man, it's stagnant offense. Emmanuel Quickley is not it right now either, and hasn't been for the entirety of the playoffs. That's hurting them big time. Quentin Grimes hurt. decent 3-point shooter, but inconsistent as well. Like, they don't have that right now. And that'll probably be something in the offseason that they'll need to look out. Maybe they can get one of these freaking Heat snipers on their squad. But that is all the time we have for you in our best bets video. Make sure to like and subscribe to that page. Check out the other player props video that we have up for you as well. And until we see you next, happy betting.